Hello, Steven. Bud, why don't you go to your home? I will show you where I have made my home. Hello, people. Bud, why aren't you in your home? Go to your home! Bud, you're the star of the show. The Crinkly Paper ASMR channel? Yep. Crinkly Paper ASMR. We've got some lovely paper here. Let's listen to it crinkle. No, I don't want your stupid Nirvana, whatever it's called. Guess what we're building tonight? Same thing we build every night, Pinky. Try and take over the world. It's Pinky and the Brain. Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. That's all I remember. Computer duster. Hey, CC Games. Bud, where are you? Go to your home. Bud? Come here, Bud. Bud, where'd you go? Oh, I guess he ran away. He's gone. He's cracked. He's gone nuts. Oh, just one tonight, but next week I have to try to make two at the same time. Impossible. Kimpossible. Alright, this one's another righty. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. Oh, I need some solder water. Solder water. There is no L in Team America. Yes, there is. Our base was attacked by a giant socialist weasel. And you are Gary Johnston, Top Gun actor. Please get in my limo. I just want to show you something. Yeah, I bet you do. Where'd Bud go? The bamboo printer situation? Well, yeah, get a bunch of people addicted to your printers and then flip the script. I mean, it's always the same old story. Like, Adobe turns evil with their Creative Cloud, and DaVinci Resolve is like, here I come to save the day. And then, like, 5 years from now, it'll be like, users furious about DaVinci Cloud service. It's like in South Park where they defeat the Walmart and they're like, we should all go shop at Jim's Drugs. And then they all start shopping at Jim's Drugs, and then Jim's Drugs becomes giant. And then at the end, they burn it down too. Yes, it's a story of life. The VCF Social is next month? Oh, man. I think I went to that a year. I don't know if it was I've been to that before. Just, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I just lose track of time. That thing's kind of crooked. Yeah, I often wonder, like, how much of, like, the stock market and the overvaluation of companies is driven entirely by the whole subscription model. It's like, how do we innovate? I know, let's put a subscription model on things we sold people outright in the past. Oh, yeah. Like Adobe was the tip of that feces-encrusted spear. All right, we need the righty panel. Well, another way to think about it, Holder B, is like, how do we make more money off the same number of customers? Like, we'll just suck, instead of like growing our company or growing our customer base, we'll just suck more money out of the same number of people. I mean, I don't know. Well, I guess, since the stock market was in the news today, I think it's an example of, like, the fake growth we see today. It's like, look, we're screwing the middle class. It's great for Wall Street. But it's like, eventually that's not going to work. It's going to catch up to you. And you're like, where's our customers? Yeah, I've been really happy with the Creality Ender 3 V3 that I have. They send it to me for a review. It's really grown on me. I wasn't super impressed with it when I first reviewed it, but I've used it quite a few times, well, many times now, and it's a really solid printer. And it doesn't spend like half the print time preparing itself like the Bamboo does. The Bamboo's like, hey honey, let's go to a place. And then she's like, oh, okay, I'll be ready in 20 minutes. And that's like an hour. And she's just putting her makeup on the whole time, even though she's already married. That's the Bamboo Labs. All right, let's desolder this. The bench or the bamboo issues? Oh, it's a creature. Bud, are you a creature of the night? I put a collar on him. I don't know. The answer is no. He didn't always wear a collar. I want to like laser engrave my phone number on it in case he gets out. I mean, he has a microchip, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I know it's not like it's that difficult to do. I just gotten lazy. He's only gotten out twice. It's usually like if I like, well, I don't try to let him out, but if I'm like bringing a bunch of stuff in out of my car, and so like I'm going in the back, you know, out the back door like many times, and he'll like dart out and I won't even realize it. But both times he just stayed by the porch. Because if you go out into the world, bud, you won't get any more free food. You will be a street rat cat. Yeah, isn't the deal with the bamboo that you can't use third-party slicers to send to it? And so, like, especially like people like with print farms are upset with this. Yeah, I thought he got out the other day. But then I realized, well, it was the same thing. I went to like the upstairs office just for a second, just to like grab something, and he darted in, and I closed the door without realizing he was in there. And then later that day, I was like, wait a minute, or well, not late, well, a little bit later, I was like, wait a minute, why isn't Bud begging for food? And I'm like, where is he? And I rattled the Greenies can, and he didn't come running. I'm like, oh, crap. Yeah, because last week, I think it was about a week ago, I was in the living room, and I saw the motion light go on by the garage, and then it was like it was the neighborhood street. I didn't see it, but I heard it. That was like when it was like super cold, and it was like, it sounded like it was really sad. And I was like, oh no, so I put out some food. So yeah. Bud, you will become a stray, like you once were. You were born a street rat, you'll die a street rat, and only your fleas will mourn you. Cats, the musical? No. I still haven't seen that movie. I don't know. I've heard it's like pretty dumb. I'm supposed to do a bad movie night here in a month or two. I don't know. I can't remember what we're gonna watch. Someone suggested Megaopolis. They said it was like a big budget Neil Breen movie. Yeah, they make a version of the Arduino IDE for Raspberry Pi. Yeah. You can just install it. You know, like apt-get or whatever it is. Yes, the one with Adam Driver. Kylo Ren. The best part about the new Star Wars. And now I lament my Last Jedi review. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Oh my God. I think I've done a... Well, actually, you know what? Actually, on my personal channel, I probably haven't done that many projects with Arduino. I mean, I still use it. Actually, that's what I was struggling with last weekend. I was writing LCD drivers for the Pico, and I was using the Arduino first, although I wanted to convert it to visual code. But then, damn it! Then for whatever reason, the code stopped working. Oh, great. The super glue, hot glue hit a fur ball. Alright, well, I guess there'll be like a hair into this controller. Someone can clone Bud in a million years. Just what everyone wanted. We have cloned a cat from the 21st century. Let's see what the cats were like back then. And then it's like, meow, 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 meow. And then they're like, can we unclone him? You bred buds. Why? Da, 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 da. We had to fill the holes in the genetic code. So we used a velociraptor. Bud, will you become a Velociraptor kitten? I did not care for Rogue One. I'm one of those guys. It has a very good ending, but most of the movie is like really redundant and slow and plotting. Because really, most of the actions that happen in the first part of that movie really don't mean a whole lot. It's like they spend all this time and really all they need to know is where are the plans. So they spend like the first 3/4 of the movie just learning one thing. And then you have the big battle at the end. The big battle is cool, but... yeah, it just seemed like the rest of the movie, there wasn't enough reason for the rest of it to exist. I thought the Solo movie was pretty decent, despite them like reshooting it. I always like to imagine like Ron Howard agreed to do it and he was like, I've only got one request. I got a daughter. She's kinda slow, but a good girl. Something tells me she'd direct a great Mandalorian episode. That was an Ed Wood reference. That's a deep cut. Do you remember Ed Wood at all? My favorite movie. When he's going around trying to find money to finish Bride of the Atom, he goes to the meat locker plant, and there's that Texan guy who's like, son, you're too vague. And he's like, how can I get your money? And he's like, I want the movie to end with a huge explosion. Sky full of smoke. Anyway, that guy is Ron Howard's dad. And so I think when he talks about his slow son, it's kind of like a sideways jab at Ron Howard for fun. So that's why I made my that's where my Mandalorian joke came from. So fun fact, Ron Howard gave all his kids a middle name of the city in which they were conceived. I got a boy. He's a bit slow, but a good boy. Oh, well, Darth Maul was in Solo so that you could see that Darth Maul was in Solo. That's why he was in it. He's like, I better stand up for no reason so you can see my robot legs, and then ignite my lightsaber for no reason so you can see my lightsaber. I actually think that... Again, I'm not like a big Star Wars fan, but I actually think Solo was probably like the most consistent Disney Star Wars movie. I think if you took like the first 45 minutes of Force Awakens and the last half hour of Rogue One and like the middle of the Han Solo movie and put it all together, you could make like one pretty good Star Wars movie. Conception Bay, Newfoundland. Yeah. Mr. Howard, we are not sure exactly when your wife became pregnant. You must tell me, damn it. I must know exactly when it was so I can check my calendar. Mr. Howard, that's impossible. My last doctor diagnosed my wife with a box of scraps. Yes, obviously Ron Howard would fly off the handle like that. Got to put on the Hall effect sensor. Edit and make what for you? The Ron Howard story? Something tells me he'd make a hell of a leading man. Where's my Sharpie? Now let's see. Sharpie's getting kind of unsharp mask. Oh, the first Evil Dead Pinball went on location tonight. It's actually in Madison in the IO arcade downtown. So if something goes wrong, I'm sure I'll get to drive over there and do something to it. Yay! Bud, are you a caterpillar cat? Kind of look like one of those fuzzy caterpillars. Fuzzy caterpillar cat. I think they actually did start shipping them in general this weekend. So, yeah, here we go. John Wick Stern Table. Yeah, that one came out. That one came out a while ago. You've seen ads for it? I heard it didn't sell all too great, so maybe that's why you're seeing ads. Apparently Lionsgate wouldn't let them put any guns on the artwork. So a lot of people are like, why aren't there any guns on the artwork? We definitely ran into that with Texas Chainsaw, like, well, not the guns, but it's like, you can have the theme of a pin, but sometimes if something's like sitting in someone's home, like a big box of art, sometimes it's like, well, you know, I might watch a movie about this, but I don't want like a big chainsaw guy artwork in my game room, because, you know, a lot of times people have kids who get scared of stuff. It's the same reason why they don't have like braless women and artwork of pinball anymore. You know, like, it's like, well, my wife probably doesn't want to see that, so. Because they are kind of like an art piece as much as a machine in the home. Oh, thanks, PSVR2. Seems to focus on a car. Yeah. Yeah, there's all sorts of like restrictions you run into, like or like some actors don't want to be yeah, like I know when they did Big Lebowski, like I don't think that pinball machine like 10 years ago, and I don't think they had like a licensor guy. I mean, it was licensed, but they did like a bunch of mistakes. So they had to go back retroactively. They had to like blur out the Folgers can when he dumps out the ashes. And then John Goodman didn't want to be pictured in artwork holding a gun. Stuff like that happens. We didn't, well, we had a few. What was it on Evil Dead? Like, we had like 15 minutes of the first movie. And then to start, we had only 5 minutes of the second movie, although Spooky said that I should add more footage because they're like, well, it sold pretty well, so we'll spend some more money on some more footage. Because I think the second movie was, I can't remember how much it was a minute, but it was it was money. And then, what was it? In Evil Dead, the Book of the Dead and the Dagger are separate licenses from Evil Dead. I'm guessing it's because, like, when they first made that movie, it was probably, the rights were probably all over the place, like a bunch of different investors, or I didn't get paid enough, so I want the rights to this thing. Because the Book of the Dead and the Dagger were done by Tom Sullivan, so I believe he has those as a separate license. So we can show the Dagger and the Book of the Dead from the second movie, but not the first movie. Go figure. And then the second movie, how does it work? Like the second movie, like, if you, like, we can't show video clips. Maybe, well, I don't know. Maybe this is too much inside baseball. I don't know if anyone cares. Yeah, the second movie, unless we actually got separate approvals from the actors, we couldn't show any of the humans from the second movie in human form aside from Bruce Campbell. Which is why, like, the shot of the eyeball going into the woman's mouth isn't on the video, because we would have had to have that actress approve that separately. So sometimes there's stuff like that where there's like X amount of things that are pre-approved, and as long as you stay within those parameters, you don't need to get additional licensing, or you don't have to go beyond just the I think they're both owned by Studio Canal now. Yeah. And we thought about... I think they did look into... Well, Army of Darkness is another license. So, yeah. I mean, it's already 2 licenses because it's 2 movies, so... Army of Darkness would have been just more money. Oh, and we couldn't use the soundtrack from the second movie. That's actually pretty common. We couldn't use the soundtrack from Texas Chainsaw either. So in the second movie, if there's like clips where the sound, and we couldn't get a non-married copy either, so we couldn't get a version of the movie without the soundtrack. I mean, I'm sure one exists, but we couldn't get it. Or just a lot of times the licensors don't even know where the stuff is, so there's a couple spots where we wanted to have the audio and the visual, because a lot of times you can get away with just the video. You don't even need audio. And there's so much other noise in the pinball machine people won't notice. So there's at least 3 clips that I can think of where we actually had Bruce re-record the dialogue, and then we put it over the video, and then added in sound effects, and then you hear the game soundtrack, which is all custom, so you hear that in the back. Well, the part where he chops off his hand, that was one of them. Because in the movie, the music's like dun 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 dun. You know, it's really loud, and then he's like, "Who's laughing now?" So in the script, I wrote, "Who's laughing now?" in the style of blah blah blah, you know, just so he knew exactly what it was. And then yeah, I mean, his voice hasn't changed that much, so yeah, that part actually was redone. Then I had to actually, you know, it's ironic, we made 2 chainsaw related pinball machines in a row, but I don't even have that many chainsaw sound effects. Like, I wanted to, like, go record some chainsaw stuff, but we never even did that, so we only have, I think we have, like, 5 whole tracks of chainsaws from both games. So I had to use, well, what tracks I had of chainsaws and match it to the movie as best I could, because I had to and he starts it in his mouth, and he pulls the ripcord with his mouth. And then I had to go through, like, so the chainsaw goes like, vroom, 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 vroom. So I had to kind of like redo that. So hopefully you would never know I did that unless I just told you. Also, yeah, in the second movie, when Ash turns evil and he starts harassing that woman, and he's in the doorway and he says, "Join us." That was another one we had to get the dialogue, and then we had to. Well, I didn't do that. I didn't do that part, but someone else put in the voice effects to make it sound like evil Ash. And then we also had there's a evil Ash. There's a mode called Evil Ash when he turns evil. And you had to there's 5 red shots on the playfield. You had to turn them blue to make them turn good. I think you only had to you only had to do 3 of them. But then you have to hit the necklace. And so we had a lot of lines of dialogue of Evil Ash. So again, it's he says the line, and then we would monster size it. So he says stuff like, "What's the matter, baby? Thought you liked bad boys," and stuff like that. And then one of the lines is, "I may be bad, but I feel badder." So I tried to make the lines as dumb as possible. Klaatu, Baratu, and Nikto. Gort. Well, maybe we'll get sued by the Keanu Reeves version of Gort. Well, no, Klaatu, Baratu, Nikto. That was in Army of Darkness, so that's not in the game. EA Sports. It's not in the game. Like, if I could wave a magic wand, well, it wouldn't have been my decision, but, like, Evil Dead Pinball, or Army of Darkness would have been awesome, because it's visually the most interesting of the movies. And it's got, like, skeletons, of course. Who doesn't love skeletons? Obscure pinball facts, yes. That's definitely going to come up in Jeopardy. I'll take anal bumhole covers for 800. That's album covers for 1,000. Dolly Parton. That's famous titles. Damn! I've seen the penis mightier. If it can do what you say it will, I'll order a dozen. That's a nice jacket. Where did you get it? Place called Stearns. Just one more question. Do they make them for men? The Police Academy guy? Yeah. Well, we bought a bunch of sound effects from Pond 5, so it was pretty good. And of course, I have like literal decades of sound effects collected on my hard drive. So there's actually leftover sound effects in the Evil Dead game from pretty much all my movies, even Port Washington. And then it was when I was living in Verona. It had these cool spring-loaded windows. So when you'd open or close the window, it would go. And it kind of reminded me of Mega Man, like when those blocks appear and disappear. So before I moved, I got a bunch of recordings of those windows. And I use that. Actually, that sound effect is used a lot in Evil Dead. And I always tell the guy that's spooky. I'm like, oh, this sound effect is made up of these windows I used to have in my apartment. And they're like, don't tell us, we don't want to know. Yeah, I just think it's fun to like use weird sound effects. Like in Texas Chainsaw, there's like a lot of sound effects of pool breaks, you know, like when you break the rack. So like, because it sounds kind of like the sound of like someone like getting whacked on the head, like clap, you know. So I actually added a bunch of those for that game. I even worked in sound effects of my Square Enix Tetris keychain. I don't know where that keychain. I think I must have lost it in a move, but I still have the sound effects from it. So because it was like bloop, 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 bloop. So it was like these keychain Tetris sounds. And I actually worked those into Evil Dead. It's hard to explain where, but they're in there. Class of 1812. Well, I hope it's more successful than Class of 1812. I don't think there's that many copies of that game out there. You know, they're actually looking at Motley Crue at one point. and I was telling him, oh, you gotta have a mechanic, you gotta have a beating heart, like Class of 1812 in it, so you can kickstart it. But they didn't end up doing that. Maybe Jersey Jack will do it. I think Motley Crue could be a cool pinball machine. You know the themes I always... Well, there's 3 themes I always tell them that they should make. Blade Runner, DuckTales, and Lion King. It's like, oh, if you want Adam Savage to like make a show about your pinball like they did with Labyrinth, like Blade Runner would absolutely make... Yeah, he would definitely do it. Oh yeah, we see the Motley Crue are like, they like pinball machines. That's why Crew Ball was a game. So yeah, apparently they're having like inter-band issues or something. Like they're suing each other, or like Vince Neil like was suing his bandmates for like chicken tenders or something. So I think that's one of the reasons they didn't do it. I don't know. I think it'd be cool. I mean, I don't really give a shit about Motley Crue, but I think it'd make a good pin. Beauty. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Unbelievable. What, all gingers are related? Well, I suppose. I mean, we all have no souls. You know, I never... the guy who did the Labyrinth pinball is a friend of mine. I never actually asked him how he got Adam Savage to look at it. He's Australian. I mean, my friend, not Adam Savage. Well, I'm Australian, mate. Dingo wallabies. Yeah, Evil Dead is kind of a cult hit thing, but yeah, it's pretty fun. Kind of a goofy comedy. I mean, they were probably trying to make the first movie actually scary, but I don't know. And then with the second movie, they're like, screw it, let's just make this like kind of a farce. And then Army of Darkness was like a total farce. Give me some sugar, baby. Oh, and then since Duke Nukem stole lines from Ash, I gave Ash some... Well, I gave him 1 or 2 Duke Nukem lines. EV Blog Pinball? Yes. Unbelievable! That's the Duck Scots! And you had to like make shots debunking solar roadways. No whackers. Good enough for Australia, yeah. Oh, is the new Nosferatu good? I've heard several people talking about it. That's, what's that director's name? Eggers? He's always making those weird movies. I guess I need to see it because I've seen all his other movies for some reason. Bob's your uncle. Oh, the electrons fall out. Oh, okay, I got it. What about an Avengers-like crossover of Dave Jones and AVE? Can you imagine what that would be like? It would be like the Avengers. Dun, 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 dun. Avengers, assemble! Unbelievable! Oh, yeah, we gave him the bubblegum line, too. He says, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, and I just swallowed my gum. You alien bastards are gonna pay for messing up my ride. Don't think we could slip that one in. No whackers. Do you ever see the AVE where he tears down the Juicero? That thing is insane. It's like, I know their plan was, well, it was a subscription service, you know? Subscription service juice, but like, they sold that juice. I think the Juicero machine was like $300, but my God, it must have cost like 10 times that. It's insane the amount of engineering that was in that. Bud, are you Duke Nukem the cat? Those alien bastards are going to pay for messing up my ride. They should make a new Duke Nukem. And it'd be like Austin Powers, where like he's totally politically incorrect and everyone hates him, but then at the end of the day he saves the day. There you go, Randy Pitchford. Have at it. Stuff in your eye. There we go. Are you super fluffy? Another 20, yeah. You know, that's the same thing that happens with all these games. Like, it's not that the game takes. How long did that game take? Like 14 years or whatever. They don't spend 14 years making the game. They spend 14 years making the game 4 times. That's always what happens in those situations. Like if you look at the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League game, and you're like, it took them 9 years to make that? It's like, no. They spent like 4 years not making a Superman game, and then they started that one. But the clock was still ticking, and that's kind of what kills the studios. That's what killed Irrational Games. Like, how long did they spend? Well, shit, back then that was they spent a svelte 6 years making BioShock Infinite, and same thing. They made the game. I guess since we talk about Randy Pitchford, like I always thought, like, well, yeah, you know how Aliens, Colonial Marines got all that crap for like not being what was on the tin. Like BioShock Infinite was the same way. Like that game looked different at every E3. And you can tell they redid it a couple times. That's probably why it took so long, and then why the finished project was kind of a thematic mess. And now here's the part that you paid the big money for. Big money, big prices. Yeah, Duke Nukem. Wait, yeah, didn't Duke Nukem... I think it started on the Quake 2 engine. And then pretty early on, I think they switched it to Unreal. And, yeah. So that would have been Unreal 1 back then. Yeah, it's just crazy when you think about the time scale. It's like, I mean, like I said, it didn't take them 9 years to make that Suicide Squad game, but like, that studio didn't release a game for 9 years. And before that, they had released Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight all in the space of, what, 6 years? So yeah, it was kind of crazy how long, yeah, how long that took. Like Arkham City, like if that game released today, people would say the graphics look good. Ken Silverman, yeah, the creator of the Build engine. He was just a baby when he did that. Oh, I need my peepers. I definitely know that the thing that's going to stop me from doing this first in the future is going to be my eyes. I'm going to need like bionic eyes or something. No, Andy. Well, you're thinking of George Broussard from 3D Realms. Randy Pitchford bought the Duke Nukem IP and the state of the game like at a fire sale much later on. But yeah, like George Broussard was like, that's what they said. Like he'd see a new game and then he'd immediately say, "Oh, we got to put those features into Duke Nukem," and that's apparently one of the reasons why it never got done. It just, like was just eternal feature creep. Because like, there's like a really famous trailer for it at E3 2001, when even at that time it was considered super late.
So you can kind of see where they were going with it. But a lot of that DNA did make it into the final game. I'm Duke Nukem. My game's been in production forever. Yeah, Ken Silverman was like 16 when he made the build engine. He was like a wonder kid. I'm Duke Nukem. Well, isn't there like medieval Doom coming out soon? Oh yeah, Doom the Dark Ages. I still gotta play through the second game. Ken Silverman made this engine in his bedroom with a box of scraps. You know, there are probably people just as smart as Ken Silverman, but their parents didn't get them a PC. So, just saying. PCs were expensive back then. Ugh. I'm burping up the quick trip chicken pot pie I bought. Have you guys seen that Rust game? No, not Rust. Dusk. It was made by the same guy who made Iron Lung. It's kind of like a new, old Quake kind of game. Apparently, like, the new cool thing is to make crappy PlayStation 1 graphics. I don't know why you would... Well, I guess it's nostalgia for some people. It's like, oh man, remember when we didn't have floating point units? Wow, what a halcyon age. Chicken pot... I don't think they sell chicken pot pies in Menards. Yeah. No, I don't think they do. They do have coolers, but they only have like they have like milk, eggs, cheese, and frozen pizzas. That's pretty much it. Sometimes I buy like the Schulzberg. They have like Schulzberg cheese spread, and they have like cool flavors like garlic, or wine, or plum. Actually, I've got some of that in my fridge right now. It's good for putting on like Ritz crackers. And it's at Menards, so the price is reasonable. Right, compacts were pretty popular back then. I don't see what the big problem is. The one you had to watch out for was packaged hell. I was so excited I finally was able to find white controllers on Amazon, so I ordered a couple for next week. I critically have to get new glasses. I've gone way too long, so I should make an appointment this week after I get my oil changed. I stopped wearing glasses during the day, actually. But I figured out something today because I was having this eye strain, and I realized that my glasses had blue blockers on them. So I'm not getting that if I don't wear my glasses with my code. But my glasses just kind of I don't know if it's because I code all the time now, but neither of my pair of glasses work really for coding range. And the bifocals are even worse. My older glasses are actually better for whatever reason for that. So then I just stopped wearing them, but then I realized I'm not getting the blue blocking. Because white LEDs are actually blue LEDs with phosphor on them to make them white. So, and blue is not a good color to stare at because it's high frequency. The opposite of staring at a computer screen. Yeah, I put on dark mode, but it's still... it's still a lot of blue light. I don't know about that, Brian. All I know is my glasses, I usually get blue blocker on them. Because they're oh, do you use computers? And I'm yes. Oh, well, we'll add the blue blocker. It's when you look at your glasses. And it literally puts a yellow tint on everything. But you look at the lens and they look slightly yellow. Oh yeah, Tandy 1000. Those were cool. Didn't they put a special graphics mode in them that kind of actually forced other manufacturers to have a similar mode? 'Cause I want to say they had some sort of early kind of EGA on them. CGA. You can have 3 palettes and they're... Wait, no, 2 palettes and they're all terrible. Well, yeah, because you still got that light coming through dark mode. It helps, though. I tried that stupid AI they put in the Windows taskbar now. That AI is just... it's just R word. It's so bad. It has no permanence whatsoever. I have the GitHub Copilot subscription, and I'm pretty sure the one in Microsoft is not. It seems so much dumber than the one that's in GitHub. Because if you go into GitHub, like if you go into your GitHub account on the computer, on the web, there's a, you can go into the prompt and do their AI, and they're just like ChatGTP. Well, yeah, Microsoft didn't. Yeah, Microsoft like rebranded all of Office as like AI Office. It's like, oh my god! It's like, is this using that stupid AI that's built in? Because it's pretty dumb. Like, well, you know what? The thing in ChatGTP. Well, I'm sure you all know this, but it's like you can be talking to it, and it remembers all the context of your conversation. But well, I've only used the Microsoft one 3 or 4 times, but yeah, you can be talking to it about something, and then you'll ask it something like, okay, well, what driver should I use for that or whatever, and then it's like I completely forgot what you were talking about. It just seems way dumber than ChatGTP. So, I mean, I don't know. They're betting their whole company on that. I mean, I guess we bet the whole stock market on it, so, you know, I guess we better hope it works. Yeah, and they're raising the price of Office, too. Yeah. I just 3 months ago, I finally got rid of my family prescription and got personal. And I'm like, woohoo, I'll save $30 a year. And Microsoft is like, ha ha ha, not yet. Those jerks. This is kind of like a podcast. It's a really boring podcast with no guests. Hey, one of these years, maybe I'll actually do the Gen Explained podcast. I think that would be great. Like Zoomers call in and ask about things like Pogs or affordable used cars. Family Classic. So so the extra $30 is the Copilot fee? See, I pay $10 a month for GitHub Copilot, but I think it's worth it. Like, it's really good at doing, like, well, I was actually doing something just today. What was I doing? Oh, yeah, I was adding a secret menu in Evil Dead to simulate bad switches for, like, troubleshooting. And, yeah, so once I wrote a bunch of stuff, then when I got to the boring part where, like, it's the code just, like, to toggle what state it's in when you push the button, it pretty much wrote the entire function for me, and it was right. So, like, a lot of the dumb, boring stuff it's really good at. And then it'll be good at everything, and then it'll take your job. Well, I'm not going to pay for Copilot twice, especially not dumb Copilot. Well, I've noticed, like, the GitHub Copilot, if you ask it about, like, zucchini recipes, it's like, oh, that's not really what I'm for. Yeah, and you can, like, lead it on as well, Andy. Like, you can gaslight it. And sometimes, yeah, because sometimes it'll say something that's wrong, or, like, one aspect of it is wrong, or, like, invent, like, a register that doesn't exist. And then I correct it, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm helping it, you know, train to kill all the humans. And then it'll refine its answer based off that. But then, yeah, at the same time, I could be telling it horse shit. Yeah, I think it was like a week or two ago. I was using it was ChatGTP, and this no, I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I don't think it's actually a conspiracy, but I was using ChatGTP, and because I was thinking about. Well, I was thinking about Los Angeles and how it's all going to get turned into apartment buildings. And because I think about that a lot here in Madison, because like they've been like putting up those yuppie buildings everywhere. It's insane. And so I was workshopping that with AI, and I was like, let's use the Garver Point as the example. And it's like, oh yes, Garver Point, located at 451 Fair Oaks Avenue, blah blah blah. And then I was like, okay, let's do the math on the square footage or the acreage of Garver Point. So it's one of those like 4-story mixed use commercial buildings they put everywhere, where it's like 1 story of shops and then like 3 stories of apartments. And yes, any spare corner in Madison, they've been putting those up. It's so crazy. Like, they'll probably tear down this house in 20 years and put one of those up. But anyway, I was workshopping it, and it's like you take the average one of those buildings, it's the footprint of like 8 single-family homes. But once you put up one of those yuppie apartments, you get something like 28 times the population density and like 40 times the tax base. And I'm like, oh! And, but anyway, then I was like, I was looking into to double check my data, like, I think it was yesterday. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Garver Point, I don't have any data on that. I'm like, what? You knew about this 2 weeks ago. Obviously they're on to me. Ask it to code a zucchini recipe. Yeah. Yeah, I think by default, AI is based, and so they have to like deliberately bias it. I mean, Google certainly, well, that was in the news, but yeah. But anyway, that was because like it reminds me of like Star Trek, where it's like, computer, if that civilization were to collapse and the star, blah blah blah, and like you can just have a conversation with it and like workshop stuff like that. That part's cool because it does feel like Star Trek. Grok, that's the Elon Musk AI, right? In Twitter. Let's see. Yeah, that looks good. Is that the red side? Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs Bowl. Ugh.
Oh yeah, DeepSeek R1, the destroyer of NVIDIA. Well, you know what they're going to do, Nerdy Sean? They're going to... Oh, God. They're just going to claim it's Russian... Or not Russian. Well, I mean... Like... They're gonna TikTok it. And it's not going to be because of actual security threats. It's going to be because of competition. It's like a digital tariff. Water bottle's starting to taste plasticky. It's not even to the date yet. It's weird. Maybe it's like a cycle thing. Yeah, maybe there'll be a Babylon Bee article like Super Bowl adds diversity by not having the Kansas City Chiefs play. All right, we're getting close. God, they're like the Patriots. It's like, ugh. I gotta wonder, like, if that actually does affect viewership. Like when the same goddamn team is like in 4 Super Bowls in a row or whatever it's been. And everyone like hate watches it, just like I'm gonna root for whoever's playing against the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, the other thing is like our stock market's complete horseshit. It's just propped up by a bunch of AI hopes and dreams. Like we have like 5 stocks dominating the entire thing that just make it look better than it actually is. And so I'm sure this DeepSeek thing has them spooked. Because like, oh my god, if NVIDIA crashes, people might realize that the economy sucks. Taylor Swift, really, yeah. You know, it's the second they stop getting to the Super Bowl, she's going to dump that guy. Man, that's got to be like her longest relationship ever. I still think COVID was created when Taylor Swift dated John Mayer. It created like this, so it's 2 people that slept with everyone of the opposite gender in show business. And so when they had sex, it was like a super virus was created. Yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. Like, you got all these people that whine about price gouging, but then they're like, oh, look, the stock market's great. Why? Well, because NVIDIA's doing good. Wasn't NVIDIA price gouging before it was cool? Well, the stock. I mean, if you, did we talk about this last week? Like, Microsoft is actually putting money into reactivating 3 Mile Island. So it's like for Microsoft and Oracle. They basically want to spin up a nuclear plant so the environmentalists won't get after them for all the energy they're using on AI. It's crazy. I mean, I'm in favor of nuclear power. I just think it's kind of crazy that it's come to that. It's like, Microsoft, you could probably build like 1,000 nuclear reactors with the cash you have on hand. It's like, go for it. Well, it's not just AI. Like you've got like this huge gold rush for crypto, which also takes a ton of computing power. What, crypto Federal Reserve? It's like, oh my God. It's like, yeah. Not going to end the way you think it will, Bitcoin bros. Read a history book. There we go. Oh, GSC computing. I read a. God, remember blogs? Remember web pages? There's a web page out there that actually went into exhaustive detail and math on the batteries inside of Zelda cartridges, and it depends on the battery, and it depends on like the circuitry. So like there are some games where they did the circuit in such a way that, like, I looked at like my NBA Live 95 cartridges, the battery's dead, so all my basketball players are dead. But this website that I mentioned, God, it's probably like 10 years ago that I read this. They basically they took the voltage of a Legend of Zelda cartridge in like 2015, and then they compared the voltage drop to 1987 and did the math, and they said that Legend of Zelda cartridges from 1987, as long as the battery doesn't blow up, if the battery's intact, they calculated that it should hold memory saves until like 2055 or something like that. So you can crack open a Zelda cartridge and it might be down to like 2.9 volts after 30 years. So you take like, what, 0.4 volts of drop after 30 years, and you probably won't lose RAM until you drop below 1.8. So yeah, you could be looking at another 40 years, assuming the battery stays intact. Because the battery, like, how do I put this? The battery failing, like, from a chemical standpoint, is different from the battery, like, losing its power. So, like, if it fails chemically, then yeah, it's dead. But if it doesn't, they can actually last a really long time. Yeah, it is logarithmic, but it's still... The Zelda cartridges have lost very little voltage, given how much time... Yeah, they used lithium cells back then. No, I mean, you can test it. Like, I've done it. Like, you rip open a Legend of Zelda cartridge, and it's got... Well, hell, maybe I could go open... I think I have... Yeah, I think I have Legend of Zelda. Maybe that could be the bonus content, since this is just about done. Wait, the 2.5 commie units. There, AVE reference. Like the Game Boy cartridges, like the battery back Pokemons, most of those are dead because those are just like much smaller hearing aid size batteries. But yeah, like the CR 2032s, they're still good.
Well, it's kind of like EV batteries. It's not that the batteries fail, it's that you've got 1,000 batteries and one of them fails. That's the real problem. But if it's just a single battery, there's only a single point of failure, so, you know, if it survives, then it can last a long time. Yeah, I think I already ripped apart my Zelda cartridge in the past. Well, you know what? I will finish this, then I will go grab it, and that'll be the after time show with Taylor Swift. Oh, just think, we still have Taylor Swift's marriage to live through, Taylor Swift's kids to live through, Taylor Swift's divorce, then her second marriage, and ugh. By the end, you will beg for the mercy of death. They'd be like, Meghan Markle and that ginger guy divorce. Oh, thank God, Taylor Swift is engaged. Ugh. Oh, damn it. I'm pretty sure I've cracked open my Zelda cartridge, so it might not be as pristine as we might hope. I don't know if I have any other battery-back Nintendo games. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of the Taylor Swift shirts. Look, Kyle, you can get 3 copies of Time Cop for $15. Why didn't you want 1 copy of Time Cop? Five Taylor Swift shirts. Why? Hello, Circular Tonic. Oh, man. That's a burpee pot pie. It's only $6. We've got $5, Mary. Endless Taylor Swift merch. Yes, it's Taylor Swift and Rose Tico action figures. Up, down, left, right. This wide cap might be a little too wide. Sometimes, yeah, I have two different cap sizes. This one seems like it might be a little too wide. I'm going to try a narrow one, but sometimes the narrow ones constrict the range. I don't think I've watched any movies lately. Have I? No, I don't think I don't know. I don't really watch movies anymore. I started playing Balatro. Does that count? It's pretty fun. Now whenever I program, I think about like roguelike stuff. I'm like, oh, you basically create your own gameplay loops with all this random crap. I'm beginning to believe. Well, you're gonna have to continue waiting because I still haven't figured out how to make my Last Jedi review YouTubeable. I'm sure like Darth Mickey was like, ha, don't let anyone review The Last Jedi, ha, or I'll sue you. Wait, I don't think Google would be scared of Disney. The Last Jedi is the best movie ever. Ha, it's great. It subverted my expectations. Ha. My favorite gamepad? What do you mean, like, of all time, or, like... I mean, I like these Xbox controllers. I would be upset if Microsoft drops out of the console business, which I think is quite possible, when they stop making these controllers. You know what I had? Well, I still have them. I had like the 1990... You remember when they made the NES top loader? In 1993, and it came with those dog bone controllers. You could also buy the dog bone controllers separately. So I got some from like Walmart or whatever back when I was in high school, and I still have them. I think actual real dog bone controllers are actually kind of sought after now. That was a nice controller because it wasn't shaped like a rectangle. A rectangle that wrecks your hands. Yeah, I mean, when did I start playing Balatro? Like a week ago, I think. I downloaded it last week. I got it on my Xbox. I like living room. I like playing games in my living room because I use computers all the goddamn time. Yeah, I got to Ante 8 for the first time like this weekend. Then I blew it. So I guess the trick is you have to you just basically have to make decks of all like kings. Basically, it's like because it's a deck builder technically, right? A roguelike deck builder. Let's see if this goes together. Come on. There we go. A thing of beauty is a joy forever. Oh no, the strongest controller was the Google Stadia controller. I don't know if it was like last year or 2 years ago, but I actually, because I always take my extra stuff. Oh, this one works perfectly. Anyway, I always give away my extra stuff at that show, and somebody took the Stadia controller that had been run over with my car, and I was like, "Hey, it works perfectly fine. It's just scuffed up. So, if you need a Bluetooth controller, here you go." So I'm sure it's somewhere in the world. I actually still have the other one because I had two of them. I actually on the rare. Actually, yeah, when we did the. Was it last? Yeah, last year when we did the Nintendo charity stream and I played the Turbo Tunnels. That was actually on the Stadia controller. All right, she's a Bobby Win ready to go. Just need a battery compartment put on the back. Yeah. Actually, I think this Now, yeah, these two were done with. These were done with the Ender 3 V3. This was done with the Creality KX1 or K1. And then this did the Ender 3 also. I just started using TPU with it. It does a great job with TPU. I'm kind of thinking, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I need to cull one of these older printers. I should probably cull the Flash Forgery because I never use it anymore. And I should probably put a new brain inside of the Maker Gear because it's so expensive. I'm not going to give it away, but I could give it a new brain. And of course, the Maker Bot I'm just going to keep forever. All right, I'm going to go get a beer and Zelda. All right, bud, stay there being cute. Don't follow me. No following. Superman. Kittens in the world tonight. What's in the box? It's a bud. They match. I want to say I removed the diode on this so I could measure the diode drop. So, why would anyone here not know how this works? But they basically put a battery in, and the battery powers the RAM through a diode. So they map like a 8K, I want to say it's 8K RAM chip. They map it to the memory space, and then it's a lot of RAM to store your game. These are these easy screws. Well, the fact this has the easy screws means this is probably one of the older Zelda cartridges. Because they did a re-release with a gray cartridge, but I want to say that was like 1990. So this one's probably, well, if it's got the old screws, it's probably, yeah, it's probably is closer to 1987. By the old screws, I mean they're flathead screws. You don't need the security, the Nintendo security screw. Yeah, I did mess around with this. Maxell brand CR2032.
Oh, so fun fact, if you have a CR32 battery, that means it's 20 millimeters in diameter and 3.2 millimeters thick. But yeah, it's got the original press tab on it. See that? So we can zoom in. Yeah, so yeah, it was an MMC1 game. Yeah. Oh yeah, I did desolder the diode to test the diode drop. Because if you test it in circuit, it might not be quite right. Yeah, so if it's a flathead Nintendo cartridge, that means it's older. It's probably no newer than 1988 at the very latest. Probably more like 87. So this probably is one of the original older Zeldas. Well, actually, what's the date codes? Okay, 1988. 1988. Oh yeah, see. I'm sure all of you guys know how this works, but this is how it worked back then. So you had 128K mask ROM. This was the program ROM, and over here, this is the character RAM or ROM. So it depends on the game. So in this game's case, it's got a 8 kilobyte RAM. So this is the part where I tell you that Nintendo cartridges actually loaded, because they would actually take the graphics data would be stored here, and it was also often RLE compressed. So they copy the graphics data off here and then put it into the graphics chip, and then they would run it. So later games almost always had like a bank switched mask ROM for this, but a lot of the early games actually had an extra RAM chip. And then they actually have this is another RAM chip. So this is what stores your game. So 64, so that's 64K bits, so it's 8 kilobytes. And yeah, you see the date code. So this is 1988. So, but first half of 1988. So yeah, it is on the older side. This is the lockout chip, and this is the MMC1 memory controller. So this chip allows you to do bank switching of this. Yeah, so when you would load stuff in Zelda, it would actually have to, like if the pattern tables change, like for a dungeon or something, it would actually have to copy the data off of the ROM and put it onto the RAM, and the RAM is what would be accessed by the picture processing unit. But you could also access this RAM using, you know, your code. Anyway, so for all three of you who didn't know how a Nintendo cartridge worked, yeah, real puke cam. Oh yeah, looks like I just desoldered one side of it to remove from the circuit. Wait, is that the tab? Okay, so this is positive. Get ready for a surprise! Look at that. Bobby Dazzler win! Unbelievable! Yeah, so that's 36 years old. Huh. What is... Are they like usually like 3.3 nominal, aren't they? Chinesium, Panasonic. Oh, that one's weak. That's a weak Bobby Dazzler. Oh, this one, what? That one's deader than sin in heaven. What about this guy? Oh, Energizer. You know, they make good stuff. Only 3 volts. Unbelievable. Jesus, Zelda battery is badass. 3 point... Okay, that one's fully charged. Why do I have so many of these? That one's dead. You know, got to double check it with your tongue, just in case. 2.8, it's on the edge of 17. Rip, roaring, exciting action you can't get anywhere else. 2.8. What's this little guy? Unbelievable. $3.31. Electron? All the electrons have fallen out. Unbelievable. Oh, it's like a Chinesian brand. 1.8. Sorry, you're worthless. Okay. 2.7. Got a few seasons left. That's... I don't remember being that high. That's crazy. Anyone want to Google the RAM? Yes, this will be your fun interactive thing. Google the RAM and find its minimum voltage. There you go. Everybody got that? Oh yeah, Andy, it definitely could cause something to happen, which is probably why some of these batteries are dead. I mean, it's whatever. Jeez, that's crazy. But yeah, you can see right here. So there's a diode. So yeah, you've got your diode there. It's 3.277. You probably about half a volt a drop here. Not only about 0.2 volts dropped. Was it a Zener diode? Yeah, so you got 3.2 going to the RAM, or 3 going to the RAM. Yeah, that's crazy. If I had to... Well, I mean, it's still, it would be just 0.2 difference. That's actually really efficient. So your drop-off would still be the same. 1.2 volts? Really? Oh my god. Shit. Okay. Oh, it's got my Unity program on it. Okay. No, don't do my Unity program. Get out of the program. No. Exit. Quit. Ah, finally. Okay. What was that? Okay, so it's... That is not what RAM is named after.
I cannot believe that battery has that much charge in it. 3.3. Well, okay, so it would be
Wait, you said it was 1.2 volts?
Jesus. Okay. Well, so that would be 1.2 plus dropout 2, 1.4, 3.3 minus 1.4. Again, this is not considering logarithmic decay. 1.9. So that would be your total drop before it would fail. How? No, there's no way, because you know the answer is going to be a lot longer than 2050. Oh, what? Well, what the hell? Okay, 3.3 minus 3.27. It's point. There's no way. No. Okay. Where's answer on this one? Answer divided by 36. I can't believe it uses that little power, but that's the original battery. And 3.3 minus 0.2, so it's 3.1. My mind is blown. It looks like no. Well, that's why there's a diode in there. Yeah, it goes through a couple resistors. Yeah, see? That trace, that's coming from the diode, and then it goes through a resistor, then it goes through another diode, and then it goes into the VCC of the chip. So let's see, it's got 2 diodes of protection. Well, actually, yeah, maybe we should measure it right at the chip. I mean, it's still hardly drawing anything. So that would be this guy right here. Wow, that second diode is doing even less. It's 3.0684. Jiminy Christmas. Okay, let's be really liberal and say 3.4 volts minus 3.27 volts. That's 0.13 volts after 30 years. Divided by. So that would be 4.3 millivolts per year. Okay, so if that's the drop, so then we take the actual voltage. So let's say you got 3.4 to start, then you drop 0.02, so you got 338. So then you take that minus what we say 1.2, got 2.18 divided by 0.0043, and
Okay, there's no way the battery would. There's no way. I mean, yeah, it would have. Yes, the battery would probably chemically fail before that. That's crazy. But yeah, that's not taking in logarithmic decay. Marty, there's no way to generate 1.21 gigawatts. Wait a minute, Doc. What? Doesn't the Hoover Dam exist? Oh, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, why don't we just drive 5 hours east and connect this to the Hoover Dam? Okay. He drives across the Hoover Dam, da, 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 and then he like arrives in the present, and then the movie's over. Well, the Voyager probes are using a lot more than whatever that was. No, it doesn't really matter how much data you save. It would still... Because the amount of time it takes to save data is microseconds compared to, like, the cartridge sitting on the shelf for 30 years. Well, on top of it, this is a static RAM, so it doesn't have refresh. So whatever electricity it takes, well, it stores the bits in NAND gates. So it's a static amount of, like, oh, yeah, it would be static. Man, no wonder these cartridges were so expensive. There's 16K of static RAM in the 1980s. Jesus. And your Nintendo had, what, 4K? Yeah, it had 2K of work RAM and then 2K of, what do they call it? The graphics RAM. The tile RAM. Well, 45 milliamps is quite a bit. My favorite Blatz. I don't know if I've ever had a Blatz. I probably have. I mean, I guess I could detach the diode and measure the current. Although it can't be bugger all. I mean, if it's dropped that little over these years. Well, yeah, there's two reasons for that, Rorschach, because one, Nintendo didn't allow custom mappers or third-party mappers in American games. And then two, the American Nintendo... it didn't have the sound pins on it. These extra pins here in the middle, those actually go to the expansion port that was never used. So only the Famicom has the sound line on the cartridge. Although, like the MMC5 that they use in Castlevania 3 in America, it could do audio generation, but there was no way to get it off of the cartridge because, as I mentioned, there was no analog audio line. Yeah, David, I saw that. That looked pretty cool.
And yeah, that must attach to the. I think they have the Nintendo. The Nintendo's bus goes there as well as these expansion pins. Well, that was quite the journey. The journey is the reward. Well, no. The center pin, like on the cartridge slot inside your Nintendo, the center pins of the cartridge do go to the expansion slot. But the Japanese, the Famicom cartridges, I think it's a 60-pin slot instead of 72. So they don't have the expansion slot pins because there wasn't an expansion slot on the Famicom. And on top of that, but some of the extra pins that they do have are analog audio pins, which is mixed in with the main system audio. Oh yeah, that makes sense, David. Because they could route those pins to makes sense. You'd have to have a adapter, but yeah. But wait, wouldn't the expander have to remix the audio? So the expander could basically get the the VR6 audio from the cartridge, but you'd still have to manually mix it into your audio because I don't think the expansion did the expansion slot have an audio going back into the audio circuit? Believe it or not, I don't have every pin up memorized. Wow, Radiovac. Now it's the exact science building. Oh. Didn't someone make a roguelike Zelda ROM hack? I think they did. Wow, good one. Bud, are you sleepy? Bud, do you have big ears? Do you have Christian Dunst eyes? Blinky Bud. Rogue was a ASCII adventure game on like mainframes in the 1970s, and the name of the game was Rogue, and it would draw like top-down view ASCII caves or rooms you would go in, and it was always procedurally generated, and the monsters were like represented by like characters, so it was kind of like a primitive version of Dwarf Fortress. So games that are like one life, one shot, and randomly generated are called rogue likes. They're like the game Rogue. If you have a Linux install, you can there's a package you can install Rogue on. Like I have Rogue installed on my web server for some reason. I also have Colossal Cave Adventure installed on it for some reason. Willow. Hey, another Ron Howard reference. I like it. Bud, are you a sleepy boy? Well, at least I plugged in the laptop when I started this time. This laptop runs a lot better than my old one. Yeah, Dwarf Fortress is like a hyper-complicated Rogue. But yeah, the original game was just called Rogue. There's a movie references. Yeah. Oh, the MGC Workshop sign up should be live now on their site. I think you have to actually like register to the site to sign into it, but yeah, we're gonna do the game badge one final time. I was working on a new game badge. That's what I was having trouble with my code this weekend. Like I had it working last weekend, but for some reason, both of the rigs I soldered up didn't work. So I guess I got to start over. But basically, I'm doing like well, I think I'm gonna use the Pico 2 this time because it has like way more RAM for the frame buffer. But I realized the switches I got from that's not the switches. The screens I got from AliExpress have a tear effect pin. So basically, the screen can trip a signal when it starts as V blank. So if you use that to drive an interrupt on the Pico, you can use it to synchronize the DMA transfer of the data to the screen and avoid screen tearing. So that was one of the things I was working on. And yeah, I had the code working last week, but then I went to work on it like this weekend and it didn't work. And I'm like, what the hell? What happened? Yeah, you can do the DMA transfer in like 2.5 milliseconds. It's pretty fast, so it'll easily do 60 frames a second, unlike the game badge 1 or 3. Bud, are you an orange boy? Orange boy. Oh, look at your big paws. Your paws are the size of oven mitts, and they hold a deadly secret. Deadly claws. Oh, razor sharp bud claws. Do you like the taste of humans? Which calculator? The TI-84 Plus? Yeah, I have geekier calculators I could have grabbed. This one was just the closest one. Yeah, I actually have a program on this for Unity coordinates. Because the screens are like 1366 by 768, but I design everything at 1280 by 720. So there's like math, scaling, and stuff. It's not that complicated. So, like if I'm like, but then in Unity, it's all world units. So if I'm like, oh, I'm going to have a graphic at 500x by 250y, then it'll tell me, oh, wait, I got that backwards. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is like, oh, okay, yeah. So this is if I'm using the inspector. I'm like, oh, okay. This graphic object is at 2.5 world units by negative 3.1 world units. And then that gives me the XY coordinates. Yes, I got that backwards. Yeah, because the reason I did this was because you can be playing the game, then you can pause it in the editor, and then you can, if like I don't like the position of text, it's usually always text because usually the graphics are already pre-calculated. But it's like, oh, this text, I need to move this text, so I'll move the text in the world editor, and the coordinates will be floats. And so with this, I can convert the floats back to screen integers because in my code, everything is positioned by screen integers because I think about video games. So since I think about it like old school video games, so everything is like XY
coordinate on a 720p grid. No, I heard the Willow series is pretty bad. I haven't had Disney Plus in years because I don't give a shit about Disney. Craft beer? I don't know. I like craft beer. I think it's cool. Two microamps? Yeah, so the battery will fail chemically before it would actually fail electrically. Yeah, so that website talking about 2055 or whatever, that was probably conservative. Actually, it might have been like 2075. But yeah, even that's probably... Well, I guess we'll find... Well, I'm sure I'll be dead by then, but... Someone can figure it out. Yeah, I got rid of all my dupes of these because I only need one. But I still have the complete... I have the complete line. Oh wait, actually no. I had a TI-84 plus CE, like the modern one. I gave that to my niece because she's in high school now, so she can actually use it unlike me. Yeah, so I don't have that one anymore, but I don't need it. Oh yeah, Circuitonic, you're going to be killed on the monorail and nobody will ever see a cent. Monorail. What's this? I2C multiplexer. This is something Felix would have bought. Oh, yeah. I think they use a chip like this on the Evil Dead game. Is this another one? Because you can rig these up to have PWM, so you can use them for, like, servos or single color LEDs. Wait, what's this guy? Oh, this one has more pins. Oh yeah, this one's closer to what we have. PCA, this. Yeah, the only catch is that you have to have the same duty cycle on. You can configure all the pins separately, but everything on the chip has to have the same duty cycle. That's the limitation. But it's still pretty cool. Parsec and Munchman. What about Fraction Munchers? That was a classic game. That was from the same people who made Oregon Trail, wasn't it? The Minnesota Education Computer Club or whatever, MEC. Oh, no AliExpress either? That's too bad. You know, Circuitonic, Epcot Center at Disney World was originally supposed to actually be a city. Like, people were going to live there. Like, Walt Disney was trying to make the city of the future. But that never happened. But at one point, yeah, it was like, oh, people are going to live here and they're going to have futuristic monorails. Well, there's number munchers and there's fraction munchers. There are multiple entries, and by multiple I mean two, multiple entries in the cinematic universe of munching numbers. Should probably put this with the microcontroller stuff. Yeah, it was supposed to be an actual city. Yeah, I know who Wayne Knight is. Hello, Newman. Fractions are the future of maths. Well, they still use fractions in algebra. Sort of. No, and cursive. I assume they don't teach that in school anymore. Well, what do they teach in school anymore? Oh man, I still gotta build my automatic cat feeder. Oh yeah, because I got two things coming up this spring, like Texas Pinball Festival and MGC. Those are crap. Those are only like 2 weeks apart. They do still teach cursive? Why? So you can write letters to people in the 1800s? Thanks for stopping by, GST. I'm probably going to bail here pretty soon, too. But yeah, I got that controller. That controller went together pretty quick. I guess it just depends, you know? It's beautiful! I still need to spend some time to see if I can do any more improvements to reduce the assembly time, aka slash not raise the price. I haven't changed the price of those in like 8 years, so inflation busters. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Hey, automatic cat feeder would be cool. I was looking on YouTube, and I don't think anyone's actually built one. There was one video, and it was like this big. There's a bunch of edits in it, and the comments were turned off, so I'm assuming that someone realized it was fake. Yeah, maybe I need to, like, not work on that LCD project for a while and just... Because, you know, what I've been doing lately is... I would do, like, 3D design stuff on the weekends because it was, like, not programming. So maybe I should get back into that. Well, what I need a linear actuator for the cat thing. I have one, but it's not long enough. That's what she said. And then I thought I had like some Acme thread screws, but apparently I don't have them anymore. So I either need to like buy a longer linear actuator or make a big worm gear. A Juicero into a cat feeder or a cat squisher. Yeah, I've run into that wishbone where sometimes people will actually ask for low force buttons because it might not just be like, oh, I only have one hand. They also might have muscular dystrophy where they have very low strength. No, they make these rings. I can't remember how it works. It's like these concentric rings, and you put them on your toilet, and you can use it to teach your cat to use the toilet. And then as it learns, like you remove one of the rings, and then until it just becomes the whole toilet again. It totally is a thing. I've drank 1.5 High Lifes, which is nothing really. I think maybe I'll play some Balatro after this, and then I'll go to sleep. I'll get an epic run going. Why do I have all these laying around? Why did I buy all of these? 1614, that's a... It's an AVR, I believe. Oh, I think I was experimenting with those during the chip shortage. There was a time like the only SAM chips, the only Cortex M0 chips you could get were AT-SAM D11Cs. And I was like, oh, maybe I could try. Well, because I think I made like the last microcontroller project. Or I made a video about that, but I think I made that video at least twice until I made the actual one. Because I kept the only microcontroller you could find kept changing. No, really, it's like this. Picture like a set of plastic rings that go on your toilet. Oh yeah, here they are. It's a set of plastic rings that go on your toilet, and there's like, I don't know, there's like 4 of them, and so it's like there's 4 rings like. Dun, 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 dun. So you start here, and the cat tries to go in the smallest ring, and then once he does that, then you take away a ring, and then it keeps getting wider until it's just the whole toilet, and then it'll like perch on the toilet and take a dump. Apparently it's actually a thing you can do. Oh yeah, here's the little guys. The D11C. It's like maybe the reason you could get these is because what would you use them for? Although somebody must have, because at one point they became unobtainium. Always makes me think of Snowpiercer. That part became extinct. Yeah, it's like so dumb. Like, what would you use this for? Yeah, this is a 32-bit ARM Cortex M0 microcontroller. I think it's 40 megahertz. And it's got, yeah, as you can see, it's got 14 whole pins. And I think you need, yeah, because this is a, yeah, you need 3 pins to program this. So 3 of the pins have to be, program compatible. And then the crazy thing about that, there's like 6 DMA channels on this. It's like, for what? This is crazy because I think it only has like 16K RAM. Maybe that's why no one bought them. A digital signal processor? I don't know, maybe. Oh, hey, Dylan, how's it going? I don't know. I was trying to think of something to do with them, like when everything was extinct. Because like these, well, along with the Pico, yeah, these are like the only Cortex M0s you get for a time. But yeah, I don't know. The pin count is so well. The thing is, it's a very limited pin count, and then it has a bunch of DMA channels, but there's not. I think it's 16K RAM, if that. So I don't know. Do they have? They might have USB. I can't remember. It's been a while. Yeah, I'm gonna bail here soon. Oh yeah, see, we did this. This is my Monday night controller build session. So we just build these on Monday nights. So that's what that's all about. All right, yeah, I think I'm going to bail too. Well, thanks for stopping by, everyone. Bud was happy to see everyone, and I guess we'll... oh yeah, next Monday we have 2 of these controllers to build. So yeah, that'll be fun. All right, see you all next time. Wave goodbye, Bud. Yep, thanks, Texacar. Thanks for stopping by. Well, next week we'll see how quickly we can do 2 controllers.